Basso out today, or?
Call the meeting to order. Please rise. Ask you to join me in a moment of reflection before business before us this evening. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Alderman Basso. Alderman Violet.
Here.
Alderman Clifford. Alderman Key.
Here.
Alderman Kramarski.
Here.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Here.
Alderman McGrogan.
Here.
Alderman McGovern.
Here.
Mayor, City Clerk, and Treasurer are all present.
All right. Special presentation I'm aware of. On the consent calendar, we've got two items. The approval of the City Council meeting from February 4th, 2020, along with the public hearing from February 4th, 2020, and the approval of the payroll and voucher list for the period ending February 14th, 2020. Entertain a motion to approve the calendar.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Kramarski.
Second.
Second by Alderman Violet. Roll call.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Kramarski.
Here. I'm
Alderman-
sorry, yes.
Alderman
We do.
Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Motion carries.
No sealed bids. Under my report, just got one thing of actually utmost importance. A number of us last Monday were at a meeting over at the library with some of the residents, about 175 to 100, regarding the Dominic's store over at 127th and Ridgeland, or former Dominic's store. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Shepherd students for bringing this to the forefront of the community. And I assure you that it's been in our minds for years now, you know, since it's been vacant. And we'd just like to say that, you know, we'll work with the group in order to try to pressure Jewel to release their 127th Street lease and get it redeveloped. And I've asked the Business and Economic Development Committee, chaired by Alderman Key, to help along with any other city assets that are available that we can help the group in their endeavor. But there's really two distinct issues here that we've got to deal with, and there was one example of what happened in Geneva, and there's some things that are similar, some things that are not. So I think it's you know, it should be brought to everybody's attention. First of all, we need Jewel to give up the lease and allow someone else to go in there. And I had a discussion with the mayor of Geneva about what they ran into out there, and he said one of the things that Jewel was adamant in, that there would be no large grocery store in there. He cited one large one. I won't say who it is, but they didn't want anybody to compete with their existing Jewel stores in the area. And it was only after they subdivided it with tenants that the Jewel would agree upon, one being a smaller grocery store, that they, you know, were allowed to, you know, proceed with the redevelopment of it. And that being said, if in fact we do get them to allow to reduce their lease, and I'll cover that in a little bit, we've got to find someone who else to go in there. And the metrics actually are totally different in what happened in Geneva. Geneva is on Dunham Randall Road, which is a high volume traffic area. Actually right in the same shopping center as a Best Buy. Across the street is a Home Depot. On the other side, across the street the other way is a Walmart Superstore, and the other corner has a Trader Joe with a number of ancillary major stores in the area. So it's not even close to 127th or Ridgeland. But you know, that's problematic. But you know, we're here to try to continue to work to try to get something done there. And we've talked to realtors, talked to developers, and you know, hopefully we'll continue to learn by what other people, you know, similar towns have gone through. Right now, you know, there's 16 sites out of this. I mean, there's 6 out of the 16 sites that Jewel formerly had with Dominic stores that are still vacant. And where they filled them in, there's only been 3 limited grocery stores allowed in the 10 that have been developed, and the other ones have been filled in with huge medical centers from regional healthcare providers, and in three cases, pretty good size health clubs, you know, LA Fitness and the like. So what we've got to find is, we found out this week, actually yesterday, that Naperville had 2 Jewel stores, and There actually been some movement in Jewel's response to what they're doing, and they're going to allow them to develop their one former Dominic store into a smaller, we believe, grocery store. They couldn't tell us who it is because they signed a non-disclosure agreement, and then also a health facility. And the lady from Denton, Naperville, said that she had heard that the other store, the owner of the center, was confident that Jewel was not going to renew their lease. So, this may be an example of what, with Jewel, it may have changed their direction, just to give, a glimmer of hope of what's going on. And what I would like to do, I got a letter late last night, late yesterday, from the president of Jewel. So let me read that to you and kind of give us maybe hopefully some hope of what we can work out with them. And dear Mayor Strauss, I'm respectfully reaching out to you with regard to the former Dominic store that was closed in 2013. We too want this location to be a thriving business, and we share your frustration that it's not occupied. However, the claim that we are keeping the property from being leased or sold is simply not true. The store has had little or no interest when marketed, including 2 other grocery retailers, but we remain hopeful that this will change. Since 2013, more than 80% of the Dominic locations that Safeway closed are now occupied by a grocer or other tenants, mostly other tenants. That's my commentary. The current lease on this Jewel property expires in 2022. Our real estate team continues to work diligently to market the property, and we are confident there will be a favorable outcome in the foreseeable future. So in response to that, I wrote a letter today, since I got it late last night, asking them to relinquish their lease, and also that the city stands ready to even offer, some incentives to help them find a tenant to sublease their store, or if they would relinquish the lease as we requested, to work with the owners to maybe offer some incentives for potential redevelopment of that site. So, I think that at least there's some movement in that issue, and we'll continue to, hopefully get a response back from them and meet with I asked to meet with either the president of Jewel, Mr. Withers, who wrote me the letter, or maybe their management team or the real estate people, just to try to get some movement on this. So that's kind of where we are now, but I mean, at least in some, small way, at least we're getting some response from them. So, and we will continue as we have, to work with the realtors. We know who they are, and hopefully that'll bring some resolve to this in the, foreseeable future. So, so that's the end of my remarks for today. So, City Clerk?
No report this evening.
City Treasurer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the Treasurer's report for the period ending January 31st, 2020. General Fund started the month with $3,565,210.58. Revenues came in of $786,190.36. Expenses, $1,184,661.26. Other source use, $119,122.47, giving an ending cash balance in the general fund of $3,047,617.21. Total of all funds began the month with $17,982,303.70. Revenues, $1,470,254.11. Expenses for the month were $1,605,985.71. Other source use, $509,265.81, leaving an ending cash balance in all funds of $17,337,306.29. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
There's a motion to approve the Treasurer's report?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Komarski, second by Alderman Violet. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. City Attorney?
No report.
Communications, anyone have?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would really just like to congratulate Alderman Clifford, who's not here tonight. His daughter just gave birth to an 8.6 baby girl,
No, good.
and they're over at Christ Hospital right now.
All right.
So, Jack, I just want to tell you, congratulations to you and June, and your daughter and your son-in-law. And I hope everything is coming along. I know she's supposed to be in the hospital for a couple more days yet. But just a congratulations.
Wondering about that. Thank you very much. Any other citizens wishing to address the council? If not, standing committees, Alderman McGrogan.
Mr. Mayor, no report for finance.
Public safety, Alderman McGovern.
Mayor, I only have one thing to talk about tonight, and that's very simple. At the public safety meeting next week, we're going to have a guest speaker. It'll be Officer Joe Carlson. Joe has initiated within our police department a crisis intervention team, and he's been working very doggedly for over a year putting this whole program together. And I had asked the chief to turn around and have him come to our meeting next week to update the committee on everything that's going on with it.
Yeah.
So that'll be at 6:30 next Tuesday night.
Great, excellent. Municipal grounds and property, Alderman Basso's not here. Anyone have anything for him?
No, I don't think so.
Planning and zoning, Alderman Clifford.
Jack had called me yesterday and said, really, there's no report, but he's got a busy agenda planned for his next meeting.
Great, thank you, sir. Recreation, Alderman Key.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Number 9 on the agenda, I'd like to make a motion to approve a payment of $45,825.50 for the second installment for 2019-20 membership contribution to the Southwest Special Recreation Association, which is Swissro.
Second. Moved by Alderman Key, second by Alderman Violet. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Roads and construction, Alderman Kromarski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move to approve the replacement of two 2000 GMC pickup trucks under the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative with two new 2020 Chevrolet Silverado trucks. The purchase to be made with Curie Motor Chevrolet in the amount of $64,166.
Moved by Alderman Kromarski. Is there a
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McGovern, I'm sorry. Discussion? Roll call?
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right.
And Mr. Mayor, we have 14 winter events so far. Public Works has applied 350 tons of salt, approximately 30 tons per event. Last year, there were 80 tons per event. This year, we are doing our due diligence and complying with the IEPA standards. And please, residents, when you shovel or you use your snow blower, please do not distribute it in the street. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Alderman Kromarski. License permits and franchises, Alderman Lewandowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report.
Water and sewer, Alderman Violet.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Business and economic development,
No report, Mr. Mayor.
okay. Alderman McGovern. Ed Howe.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Any old business?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just to piggyback a little bit on what your opening remarks on the Dominics. Ironically, I had last couple of days, even last week, I was out of town on business. And for my day job, I deal with a lot of people that are in the real estate business. And they were asking questions about the Dominics, which I briefly mentioned to you before the meeting. And, you know, as you pointed out, maybe there's things that the city could do. And ironically, on a couple of those jewels that you mentioned, because of the company I work for's involvement in financing, we had two of those Dominics. One of them turned into, like the mayor said, a health center, like a outpatient type place, and a health club. But the point that I think is important is that in both of those cases, they basically made all their payments right up to the when the lease ended, and then they basically, you know, they have to give proper notice like a year in advance on a lot of these leases, and they pretty much did that, and then said that's going to be it, which then enabled the people that own those particular buildings to lease them out to these new tenants. And in this case, because it's been vacant for, I don't know, 5 or 10 years at this point. 5 years, that we could probably even consider, which I've seen done, like these 7B, because it's Cook County, which is like a tax reduction thing, which I think we did it maybe maybe Tiffany Square, maybe? We did once. I think we did one here.
The senior center.
The senior center, okay. And, but I think if, like, based on your efforts that you mentioned, if you could get this thing coordinated, and then maybe if the city jumps in and says, here's what we could do to help, because actually one guy was saying, do you think you could ever get a stoplight there? You know, like over by where you come out of Aurelio's, or where the new bank is, you know, there's a couple ingress and exits there. In addition, I thought I had said to a couple people, since I told them, I said I live in the town, is maybe, you know, rearrange the way that it's sitting on Ridgeland. You know, you could, it's that brick wall that's there now on the east end of the Dominick's, you could turn that into like maybe, you know, spaces where there'd be frontage there, which maybe like some of these coffee places or somebody might be interested. But anyhow, those are just some ideas, but I think the good news is, the way I was looking at it, is like when these leases expire, they seem to like go away, you know, which maybe that's a good thing here.
Well, as part of our discussion with Darrell Davidson, who some of you may know is our economic development attorney, we are looking to draft a resolution that I'll bring into the council in the near future as far as a commitment to the redevelopment of that area, and then maybe offering some incentives, you know, financially to whoever the developer may be, and at least to get some activity on it. So let's do what we can there. So good.
Okay.
All right. Any other old business? Citizens wishing to address council? Any questions? New business? Entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
That's it.